Hey everyone, it's Zach, and today we are going to do our last episode with the Talonflame Luxray Hatterene Team. It's been doing okay. There's just been some suboptimal play on my hand, and then we'll be switching to a new team for the next couple episodes until the season resets. So I've actually hit almost 100 battles. I'll definitely hit over 100 battles before I finish. How many battles do you usually do in a season? Let me know down in the comments below. And here we see Comfey, Dragapult, Incineroar, Urshifu, Rillaboom, and Torkoal. So Torkoal's a weird choice. I think Trick Room's a good option for this. The Comfey might be able to come in and reverse it. The question is that Urshifu, is it water or is it dark? With the team composition, it looks like it could be dark, not dark, it looks like it could be water. So in that case, I kind of want to go Rillaboom here. It's really hard to think of what strategy my opponent might be going for. So we will actually see the Incineroar Urshifu, and you can tell by the fact that it's not doing a little wavy stance that it is the dark type. So this is actually a really good lead for my opponent. But I think here I do want to set Trick Room. And I am definitely 100% losing my Indeedee this turn. They could switch in Rillaboom and get a Fake Out in. But instead they choose a Fake Out even though so we do get the Trick Room up. I think here we just get in T-Tar. We're going to take a lot of chip with Hatterene with the sand up and the Life Orb. But I want to say we might see Incineroar switch out if they have that Torkoal in the back to rotate in Intimidates. But I just want to double in with Rock Slide and G-Max Spite into that Urshifu because they very commonly carry Sash. And the Tyranitar helps against the Incineroar because a lot of them aren't carrying like fighting moves anymore. So we actually see the Urshifu switch, so they're keeping that for a late game matchup. And they just bring in Rillaboom. And you change the terrain, so they will be able to Fake Out next turn. Unless somehow the double up takes out the Rillaboom. And we actually do. So we'll get a single target Rock Slide. and confuse the Incineroar, which is really good. Not to mention the grassy terrain will help out Tyranitar and Hatterenes because it will recover some chip. And you magic bounce the Hatterene, okay. Fair enough. So we'll bring in our own Rillaboom, which really isn't that bad. And do great damage on this Incineroar. And we'll prop a berry. That berry did really good work for that Incineroar. So here, who do you bring in? And we'll see a Dragapult. So I just want to double into this Dragapult. And then maybe next turn switch Hatterene back in. And we're going to see the Incineroar go back out. And Urshifu come back in. And the Dragapult's going to Dynamax. So we get good damage. We do activate the weakness policy, and we do weaken the knockoff because our Tyranitar hit first. And actually a max flare, which I've been seeing Dragapults carry a lot more with Rillaboom surging up in usage. Now, how many turns of Trick Room do we have? Because that's going to be important to how we handle. We have 2 more turns of Trick Room, so they can't just protect their way out of it. So I think here there's no problem with just Dazzling Gleam and Rock Slide. And we're going to see the Urshifu go back. And Incineroar is going to come in. Which, if we would have clicked Lash Out, we would have gotten so much damage off on that Dragapult. And we're going to see a max guard. Which makes sense. So we do have 1 more turn of Trick Room. So this Urshifu could detect or protect. But I think honestly we have no reason not to make the same play. We could see a Sucker Punch come out into the Hatterene. The question is how much damage does it do? And you actually get the double with Dragapult. And we just one-shot the Urshifu. Okay. So you wasted your turns of Dynamax just trying to stall out the Trick Room and protecting, and you did get some health back. But I think here we can just Trick Room and get that back up and Lash Out. I do have to worry about what this Dragapult chooses to do. We could see a Phantom Force come out to try to... no, it's actually just going to be a Hex. Which does one-shot the Hatterene with a crit. And we'll have to see what Lash Out does. And it is enough to lock in the knockout on the Dragapult. So I think just bringing the Trick Room into that match and our team selection was just really good. It forced my opponent to do a lot of pivoting and not really get the momentum that they needed. Okay, so we're going to search for our next opponent. And I'm trying to think of how I would improve this team because Luxray has a good move pool. And it can really do a lot of work if you let it get the Guts Boots and the Tailwind from Talonflame. But we are going against Trav, and we see some coaching stuff going on. And they do actually have the option for Trick Room with Marowak and maybe a slower Azumarill. But I think the same lineup is still really good here. What do we do against the Terrakion? Because if they lead Rolly and Terrakion, they can get a lot of damage off with coaching. And I won't be able to set Trick Room without having it reversed the next turn by Copycat. And we're actually going to see a Selgor and a Azumarill. And I do really have to worry about the Steel Roller here. So let's just follow me and try to set up Trick Room. Once again, we probably lose our Indeedee turn 1. And that's really the problem with Indeedee. It's either you're sacrificing it or it's very one-dimensional. And we'll actually see a final Gambit. Oh, wow. So Steel Roller is probably going to one-shot the Hatterene. Yeah, wow. Really good shutdown of the strategy. But we're not necessarily out of it just yet. Here we do have the option of faking out the Azumarill. And we just need some damage into that Roly. And we're actually going to see the Azumarill max, so that ruins the fake out. I should have saw that coming. And there's the coaching. And this is actually a really slow Azumarill. And we'll see a max Starfall. So I just want to max Quake into the Azumarill, because if you do hit us with a max Geyser, if we do somehow survive, it will activate a weakness policy. My opponent just did a really good job of shutting down the strategy. Oh wow. This match is over. Yeah. Coaching is just is so good. And not to mention my opponent just had that I know exactly what I'm going to lead to shut down the Trick Room, which was really good. So that was a really quick one, so I think I'm going to do one more. Definitely have to keep an eye out for that combination there. So here we see Rillaboom, Dragapult, Sylveon, Whimsicott, Duraludon, and Cinderace. That Sylveon could be a problem. And so could that Duraludon. I can't really see a matchup where you don't bring Duraludon as a lead. Maybe I should have went Talonflame, Luxray. So we'll see a Duraludon and Sylveon. And here the Duraludon's definitely going to be faster. So I do want to fake out that Sylveon, and I feel like if we Dynamax, we could live a Max Steel Spike, especially with Stand Up. The real question is do we one-shot it after? I think we do. So we are going to see a Dynamax, and it's probably the Duraludon? Yeah. I mean, I could see a case for Sylveon to Dynamax because you know the Fake Out is probably going there. And obviously the Duraludon's faster than our Tyranitar. We just have to hope that we don't get one-shot by it. So we're gonna Fake Out the Sylveon. And Max Warwim. Which is a really good choice because you don't activate weakness policy and you bring down the attack. Which after that it does nothing. Wow. We do get a special defense boost, which is good against the Duraludon. And I just want to keep getting damage into the Duraludon. And try to just get as much damage off as possible. And we'll see the Steel Spike come out. Probably a Hyper Voice from the Sylveon, knowing that you don't need that much damage to knock out the Rillaboom. And we'll actually see a Yawn. And they haven't propped weakness policy. They haven't damaged Tyranitar at all. So I think we end the Dynamax early and we switch out because Tyranitar asleep isn't going to do us any good. And then if DD wants to try to quick attack, the Psychic Terrain should block that because it's priority. And the Sylveon's actually going to protect. And we'll see a Max Steel Spike into the Rillaboom. So I think now's a decent time as any to bring in Luxray. And I think here we can just protect to get the Guts boost, and let's Expanding Force into the Sylveon. And we'll see a Dark Pulse come out. Which was solid damage. And a Hyper Voice. So this sand chip will tell me the speed brackets. So Luxray is faster than the Sylveon. It's probably not faster than the Duraludon though. You know, let's Wild Charge and Protect, because if you go for the Dark Pulse into the Indeedee, Draco. Luxray does survive, and Duraludon gets a drop. So, you know, we've gone through a lot just to take out that Duraludon. And our Indeedee is dead. It's there, it's dead. We do run out the Sandstorm, so when we bring in Tyranitar, we will get the Sandstorm back. So, and we'll actually see the Whimsicott. So I want to say we see a Tailwind here. And the Expanding Force isn't going to do that much damage, yeah. You do activate Weakness Policy. And brings the Whimsicott down to its sash, but Sand is going to knock it out. The only thing is what do they have in the back? And it's actually going to be the Cinderace. Ooh. What do you go for? You have to go for the high jump kick. Iron Head. Do we survive an Iron Head in Sand? Iron Head was a smart play because that changes you into a Steel type, so you won't take Sand Chip. No. I was hoping for a high jump kick into the Protect, so you would have taken at least some damage, but they play that well. The endgame of Tailwind was necessary. Actually, with the Cinderace, it really wasn't necessary, but I think we took too long to get damage on the Duraludon. I was hoping that they would activate Weakness Policy a little earlier. So, in all honesty, it probably would have been safer not to fake out the Sylveon and let it prop Weakness Policy while we were Dynamaxed. But I think it just would have went for a Yawn turn one. Oh well. Anyways, let me know what you thought about the team in the comments down below. This will be our last match with it. Next time, we are starting out with something new, and we're going to use that until the end of this season with another team at the start of the season that I've picked out to climb up to Master Ball with. It's an interesting team. It's good in theory. We'll have to see if it's good in practice, but let me know down in the comments below. Remember, answer that comment question. how many matches do you usually play in a season, and I will see you guys in the next one.